So this story time is going to be a little different than my typical story time. But I do have to give you a trigger warning because it does have to do with, the victim was a minor. I don't believe she's a minor anymore. I do believe that it was at least 4 years ago. So she's at least over the age of 18 now, but I'm also not going to say any names, and I'm going to keep the specific details of just like where they worked and all that pretty vague, just because this little girl, this victimized child doesn't deserve to have her life explode again. But man, I just found out some things about like the adults in this case that just, if I didn't have any faith in the justice system before, I really ain't got no faith in the justice system now. So I worked for a certain agency as a transcriptionist. So for anybody that doesn't know what that means is, detectives, police officers, they have interviews with suspects, victims, witnesses and stuff like that. And then they give the recording to someone like me, and I type it all out verbatim. And then when you're in court and they're like, did you just say this to the detective? This is where you admitted this. That's what they use in court. It becomes part of the public record and part of the file for that case. So I used to be a transcriptionist when I started at this particular agency. And one of the cases that came across my desk when I was transitioning from transcriptionist to evidence custodian was this particular case. The mother in this case worked for the same city entity that I worked for. And it came out that she was being fired. And the reason was because her daughter, her 14-year-old daughter, told her aunt that her mother's boyfriend was assaulting her. And she had told the mom, and the mom didn't do anything about it. And the mom actually walked in on it one time. And so the aunt reported it, and she got fired, and they all got charged. The mom and the boyfriend got charged. So, when you work in that type of environment, law enforcement, I didn't keep up with many cases because sometimes these cases get dropped or they don't have a favorable outcome for the victim. And it kind of like bothers you because you're like, wow, this person came forward, they spoke up, and they didn't get the justice that they deserved, right? So, mind you, I was the transcriptionist. So I personally, me as Veronica, personally typed out all the interviews, including the Child Welfare Services interview, where the little girl admitted it, where the suspect, the abuser admitted it, and where the mom admitted it. Everyone admitted to this happening. The mom admitted to walking in on him, helping her with her homework with his hands in her pants. Okay. And then the mom admitted, yeah, I went in for surgery and I was admitted into the hospital for 2 weeks and I left him with her. He was the babysitter while I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, but he promised me he wasn't going to do it again. And he did it again. I mean, okay, stupid. Anyway, so I do keep up with that case because I'm like, this little girl needs justice. Like, she was so sweet and so like just very soft spoken, and just, you could tell she was a really good kid. Not that if she wasn't a good kid, it made it any better, but you could just tell that she didn't want her mom to get in trouble, but she wanted the abuse to stop. So I'm not laughing because, listen, if you're a woman and you laugh when you're angry, that's what's happening right now. So my little giggles are not of joy. My little giggles are of, let me not even say that on camera. You know what I mean? Because I want you all to have plausible deniability. Anyway, so a couple months go by and I'm like, I wonder whatever happened to this case. So I see an email come in and her name, the mom's name, is on the email. And I'm like, is she working here again? So sure enough, I find out that mom is back working for the city that I work for. So I asked some of the detectives that had worked on the case, and all of a sudden everybody got amnesia. Everybody was like, I don't know what case that is. And I'm like, look it up. And everybody was kind of like evading the topic. And I'm like, so I look it up myself because I had access to the Cork County website, just as we all do. And the case was dropped. The case had been dropped and she got her job back. Now, she worked in a position where she worked very closely with a lot of the top leaders of the city. I'm going to be very vague on this because that little girl deserves her privacy, not the mom. If it wasn't for the little girl, man, I'd be singing like a freaking mockingbird. So the little girl doesn't get her justice. The mom gets her job back. Okay. I thought it ended there. I was fuming. When I found out that case had been dropped. Okay. I was livid when okay, you get it. So I recently found out that there was one particular house in the city that the cops were always being called to. It was a very popular drug house. Everyone knew the address. And so the city took that house over. And I guess the idea was to turn it into an affordable house for someone in the city who was, I guess, on limited income to be able to move into that house. Who do you think moved into that house? I'll give you a minute. Who do you think got a house? And don't get me wrong, it's not a huge, beautiful, it's a very small house and it's not in the greatest neighborhood, but still, who do you think got that house? Did you figure it out? Did you guess the mom? Okay, because the mom got that house. The mom who admitted to knowing that her boyfriend was assaulting her daughter and didn't say anything. And then, okay, all right, you get it. You heard the story. So the mom gets the house. Okay, awesome. And then recently, I find out that the state attorney had requested the interviews for that case. And they got a letter from the agency stating that those discs, the ones that I personally listened to, the ones that I transcribed, those discs no longer existed. They were either destroyed or misplaced, but they were no longer available to provide to the state attorney for whatever investigation they were going to do. Okay. My dog is next to me and he knows that I needed him at this very moment. Okay. Because so the moral of the story is, again, if I didn't have faith in our justice system before, I really have no faith in our justice system now, because everyone admitted to it. Everyone admitted to this little girl being abused. Mom admitted to seeing it, walking in on him, sexually assaulting her daughter and doing nothing. In fact, when they went through her phone, there were text messages from her after he moved out, after she told him he had to move out, asking if he had moved in with another girl. And did he like the daughter more than he liked her? Listen here, I'm running out of time. I am so, like, you guys know, children are my mission. Children are my soft spot. I don't have any. I don't know necessarily if I want any, but it doesn't matter. They're our future, and the children are the ones who we need to protect so that when they grow up and become the leaders of the world that we still have to live in, they're competent, they're smart, they're healed, you know? And then you have moms like this, you have men like this, and you have justice systems like this who kind of don't inspire people to be like, you know what? Yeah, let me speak up and say something. Anyway, leave me your comments. I wish I could say it. I wish I could tell you her name, and I wish I could tell you his name, because they don't deserve the privacy. And I want to know what she had on all those people on that top floor for them to give her job back and to give her a house. I hope to God that that little girl is thriving as far away from her mother as possible.